Okay guys, here we are, welcome to Workout Wednesday. Matt Rowe here, I'm going to be leading you through as normal. So we've got a 54-minute session, which is becoming kind of a standard length I think. So 54 minutes of quality workout, 54 minutes of goodness. And we're going to kick off now with a nice gentle progressive warm-up. There we go, and they're off. And they're off. So guys, good to have you all here today, and as always, thanks for joining. I know sometimes it can be hard to motivate yourself to get on the bike and train in the evenings in the UK or whatever time of day it is with you, but you know, I think Zwift certainly made that a bit easier for us, and hopefully, you know, me along with some other coaches and the events on Zwift make that journey onto the turbo and journey to training slightly easier for you. So yeah, good to have you all here today. So first thing, as always, is warming up. So we've got a 10-minute progressive gradual warm-up, and then we've got a minute easy, and then we're into some activation sprint, which is basically a continuation of the warm-up. So the whole warm-up, we're going to say, is around 12 minutes or so, 12-13 minutes before we do our first effort of the day. And today is about, we call it spiked threshold. So unsurprisingly, I'm sure you can pretty much guess what today is going to involve. It's going to be riding at around your threshold, and it is just below. Then with spikes of kind of, yeah, anaerobic effort, so 20-second spikes every, so I think it's 3 minutes 40 riding sub-threshold. It's around 90% of your FTP, which should feel fairly comfortable. You know, it's the type of effort that we can sustain for, you know, 90% of your FTP for, and if push comes to shove, couple of hours, hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. So that 3 minutes 40 should feel pretty comfortable. But then the real training effect comes in when we throw these spikes in, and they're yeah, 20 seconds. Yeah, pretty tough efforts. Just designed to really get the, yeah, kind of stimulate those fast twitch muscle fibers. You will produce some lactic acid. You'll generate a bit of fatigue and tiredness. Your heart rate will go up, and you kind of start breathing a bit heavier, and but it's only for 20 seconds, and we're going to recover then. But by recover, it's not really a full-on proper recovery actually, it's more just settling back into your threshold effort. So this has got, it's a form of over-unders. It's just that the amount of time that you spend over and under is, you know, it's well balanced towards being under, so you spend the majority of the time under our threshold. But then the spikes, the over parts, are fairly high. So I think we're going to tip 120% of our FTP in the on bits, in the spikes, and then the threshold bit then is around 90% of our FTP. So we'll see how we get on with that, guys. But for now, we're just warming up, nice and steady. And again, this isn't that strenuous of a warm up. You know, all we've got to do to be ready to, yeah, complete a session like this is, as we're doing, we've got a 10-minute progressive ramp. Starts off nice and easy, so the easiest bit's done. We're kind of working through now, and you'll notice the wattage that you're being asked to produce slowly ramping up, and that's going to ramp up to, yeah, around your threshold. So after 10 minutes, we should feel pretty warm and like we're ready to produce a lot of effort and really get stuck in. And one of the key things to focus on and really bear in mind when you're warming up is just how you feel. You know, it's all about being, the whole point of a warm-up is to get you ready to compete or ready to train hard, basically to prepare yourself. And there's no better sense of you know, you being ready than when you feel ready. Just that sense of your pedaling style is nice and fluid, and you just feel at one with your bike. That's the biggest sign that you are warmed up and ready to go. You know, in contrast, if you first couple of minutes on the bike, chances are you kind of, you know, sound silly, but your left leg and your right leg, that pedaling motion going around in circles isn't perhaps that fluid. You're a little bit disjointed. You just don't quite feel at one with the bike. Whereas after time, you know, after 10 minutes, you should feel, yeah, just settled in, a bit more comfy, and yeah, like you're ready to produce some watts for the efforts. So yeah, halfway through the steady part of the warm-up, guys, and you'll notice, you know, the effort is starting to increase now. And always get the same question, you know, how can we all riding together in this? I'm producing 150 watts, someone else is only producing 100 watts. Well, that's one of the features of workout mode. So as long as you're producing the right effort, so I'm not talking about power output, but the right effort. So at the moment we're being asked to produce around 70% of our FTP. So 70% for me translates to around 180 watts. But for someone else it could be with a higher FTP, someone else with a higher FTP, you know, 70% could mean 200 watts. Or someone with a lower FTP, 70% could be 140 watts. But we'll all ride together because we're riding at 170% of our threshold. So it's not the absolute, you know, it's not our absolute power output which determines how fast we go in workout mode, nor is it our weight. So weight has nothing to do with it. It's purely down to whether we're, you know, hitting the power that's required in this session. We're hitting the right zones, and that's the aim of the game, guys. We're not trying to, you know, go faster than, or try harder, or produce more power than the session's asking. Nor is it advisable to produce less. What we're trying to do, guys, is be bang on the money and complete this session, because again, this session is designed in a way, so I designed the session and it's designed to develop specific attributes. It's not designed to be a 54-minute time trial where we just go flat out for the whole thing. It's designed to be, yeah, structured. It's this concept of, you know, training smartly, structured training, following a training plan, all these type of things all coming into play here. So the first bit is a nice steady warm-up, and then we're going to get into some specific efforts, and those efforts are 2 blocks of spiked threshold. So 3 minutes 40, riding at just below your threshold with spikes to kind of, yeah, produce lactic acid, and that's going to teach our bodies to become more efficient at then dealing with that lactic acid, continuing to produce power with that lactic acid in. So Al Cunningham's asking a question here about erg mode. Just going to stand there. Just giving them a heads up on whether erg mode should be on or off. So my advice for this session is put erg mode on. And, you know, I would say for most training sessions in workout mode, erg mode on is going to be advantageous. The only time I'd take erg mode off is when you've got some short, sharp sprints and the power is kind of coming on and coming off pretty quickly, and that's just because, you know, erg mode isn't quite responsive enough. So we won't apply that resistance and take it away quick enough. So you might be left with, yeah, with kind of some lags. So you want to be easing off, and the turbo's still thinking you're doing, you know, you're kind of in the on bit of the effort. So for any short, sharp effort sprints, I'd probably take erg mode off. But for something like this today, you know, we have got, you could call them sprints, and I call them spikes of 20 seconds. Now that's not too short and sharp, so I would definitely use erg mode for today's session. Hopefully you're starting to warm up now, guys. Hopefully got a little bit of a sweat on. Now our core body temperature will be rising slightly. Our muscles will be getting warm. Our blood temperature will be increasing. our blood vessels will be dilating, and yeah, we should just feel, as I said earlier, just a little bit more at one with the bike as we just dial into the effort. And that's, to me, what cycling is about. It's about, you know, feeling at one, you and your bike, just dialing into the effort. So, you know, more often than not, the first interval or first effort of the day won't be your best, and it won't feel your best, even though you're the freshest. Chances are, you know, you might not feel, you won't feel that smooth. You wouldn't have really got into it yet. And more often than not, for me, it's kind of the second or third effort where I come into my own and start to feel better. I think a lot of that's just down to my body, yeah, warming up. Kind of the pathways from my brain to the rest of my body, telling my body, right guys, we got a fire now. We got to do our thing. You know, Matt's asking us to pump out some power. It's showtime. So guys, we got 15 seconds now till our first activation sprint, and this is just designed to really get all our fast-twitch muscle fibers firing and to recruit all our muscle fibers basically so they're all engaged for the session and make sure we're fully warmed up. Lovely. All right, here we go, guys. Nice one. Nice one. Well done, everyone. 3 gold stars so far for me. A very proud day. See how many I can keep, or see how many I can achieve through by the end of this session. So now we're into 2 minutes cruising, basically. You know, we haven't really done any major effort, just done a little activation sprint there. So this is a 2-minute rest before the main crux of the session begins. This is just our chance to, you know, turn the legs, take a drink critically, and just do what you got to do to prepare yourself mentally. This is something that's on the Zwift coaching podcast, something that Greg Henderson spoke about. Is this hormonal priming, and it's just kind of getting yourself in the zone. So it's yeah, just getting yourself mentally in the right place where you need to be for a session. So, you know, in a couple of minutes, well, in 45 seconds, we're going to be, well, the session's going to be asking you to produce some, you know, some high power. It's going to hurt. It's going to need a bit of focus, and this is our chance just to dial into that effort, get ourselves where we need to be mentally, and just yeah, just get in the zone. Get ready to get in the hurt box, in the hurt locker. 25 seconds, guys. We go in 25, in 20, and you know, this is not going to kick off ridiculous. This is more of a prolonged effort, should we say. It's more of a time trial based session as opposed to anything sprint orientated. Okay, guys, let's spike. Okay, there we go. Now settle in now to our, what we're calling our rest period, but it's not, you're not going to get too much of a rest. And I've been saying it's 340, it's actually 240. Each of these blocks are 15 minutes, by the way. Nice one, guys. We should be able to just sit here now and absorb this workload. And for me, this is it's going to hurt, but it shouldn't be ridiculous. It should feel fairly manageable. And I said earlier, what makes it really hard is the spikes, but because they're so short, and the over threshold bits, because they are short, should be manageable, especially as a fitter rider. So if you've been training quite hard for a while, you'll definitely notice this session is a little easier than perhaps if you're an untrained athlete. I think that's even true with relative to FTP. So a low FTP unfit rider is going to find it harder than a rider with a higher FTP but that's generally fitter, because it's that ability to recover once lactic is produced that's the key factor really that determines how hard this session is. Okay guys, another minute, then we've got another spike. If you think about in the real world how we're riding here, you know, you never ever ride at set intensity or ride, even in a time trial. So in a time trial, you are going to go above your threshold, under your threshold, all round. You're going to make some pretty serious efforts well above your threshold. So, you know, accelerating out of a bend, over the top of a climb, to get back at the speed. These are all points in a time trial that you're going to make well above threshold effort. So, if time trialing is your thing, and I don't know, say you're targeting a half an hour time trial, the fastest way to achieve or to kind of complete that half an hour, I'll continue after this spike. So coming back to the half an hour time trial example, whatever distance it is, say you worked it out, it's going to take roughly half an hour. You then look on your training software, your data analysis software, whatever it may be, and you look at your critical power profile, and you know that for half an hour you can produce, well, your best is 250 watts. And let's say you're in good condition, so you think you can equal or maybe even just slightly better that PB. So you're going to aim for 250 watts. Across half an hour, the fastest way to complete that course will not, again, unless it's one straight line, same gradient and everything, it's not going to be to ride at 250 watts for half an hour. So you're going to have to produce well over 250 watts to start, get it to speed, because that's what it's all about, right? Speed. We need to get it to speed as quick as possible. Then it's about holding. So think about where your speed drops on a course. It's into headwinds, it's uphills. That's where it's important to produce kind of little spikes in effort, especially, you know, around the turn maybe, if you're doing a time trial that goes out and back maybe. You know, when you come out of a turn, maybe a dead end or dead stop, come out from a standstill. If you are coming out of a turn from a very low speed, it's very, very important that you accelerate back up to cruising speed, should we say, as quickly as possible. So that's the time for a spike in effort. Also over the top of climbs, just as you crest climbs, you know, it's important to get back up to speed as quickly then. And that's what this session kind of tries to do. It replicates some of the spikes that we need to produce in a time trial event. But this is a great session also just for producing, also for developing your aerobic base. So just your all-round sense of general fitness. Because look at the effort we're producing now. If you become efficient at producing this type of power, this type of effort, then when you're sat in a group, here you go guys, spike. You know, if we can be more efficient at producing this type of effort in a group, we're going to be kind of riding more. Although this is a sub threshold effort, if we can nudge our threshold up by doing this type of session, riding at the same speed peloton is then going to feel even more sub threshold. So it's going to be easier. So basically then you've got more watts to play with to produce power elsewhere. Okay guys, another 2 minutes, just settling in here, and this should start to feel a bit uncomfortable now. Should be quite yeah, uncomfortable effort. This is really where the gains come in, guys, and where we're really stressing our bodies, really recruiting a combination of our slow twitch and our fast twitch muscle fibers. It is going to lead to a lot of muscle breakdown, muscle damage, which when we then rest and recover, you know, we eat well nutritionally, plenty of protein, replenish those glycogen stores, we're then going to come back stronger. And it's this continuous process of breaking the muscles down, building them back up, that is what makes us stronger, faster, more powerful, ultimately better athletes. And sometimes when we overreach, and by that we mean kind of overextend ourselves, create too much stress in our body, and don't give ourselves enough time to recover. I'm talking about when this is done to the extreme, so we kind of chronically get fatigued or chronically overtrain. That's when you will experience problems. As long as you're monitoring how you're feeling, you can do this by taking your heart rate frequently, or just, you know, everyone's got a good sense of how they feel. If you just get a feeling that you're not recovering as well, you're feeling tired off the bike day to day, and simple things like walking up the stairs become a bit of a chore, that could be a bit of a sign that you're training too hard or not resting enough. Okay guys? Now, a famous cyclist once said, I'm not sure who it was, so I'm not going to make it up. He said, you can't overtrain, but you can under-rest. I'm not sure I quite agree with that, because you know, if you're going out cycling 8 hours every day, back to back, there's simply not enough time to rest and recover properly. But there is a good takeaway message in that, you know, rest is very important, and you know, it needs to be, our approach to training needs to be balanced. So by that I mean, you know, having set training days and training periods coupled with set recovery days and recovery periods, and it's this careful blend of training and recovering on a micro kind of like day-to-day, week-to-week scale, but also a macro scale. So talking about, you know, the months where you really press on, and perhaps the months or the parts of months where you perhaps rein it back, as you know, to fit your training and rest around your target event. This is what you know, training and coaching is all about, really. It's just managing a person and their personal commitments and their goals and the time they've got available to train and their day-to-day sensations, their day-to-day feelings. Are they feeling tired? Are they feeling strong? Are they motivated? Unmotivated? Because you know, we are not robots, we are humans, and there's more to it than just jumping on the bike and smashing it a few times a week. You know, some days we're more motivated than others, and for me that's one of the big draws of Zwift is motivation. So you know, rather than getting into getting onto the turbo in your garage. You can now jump into this world of Zwift, cycle with thousands of other riders, complete a workout like this with me. You know, very interactive. You can watch the live stream. It's just another dimension to training. Okay guys, next spike coming up, and this is the last spike of the block. Here we go. That's good guys, come on. Last one, then we're into 2.5 minutes of threshold to finish off block 1. There you go guys, 2.5 minutes now, a threshold. And depending on how you're feeling guys, if you're feeling good or bad, tired or fresh, you can use on the left hand side the arrows. So just under the description of the session and what's involved, where you're getting your stars, there's 2 little arrows that should say 100% in the middle. But if you're finding this session a little bit tough, you can hit the down arrow just to take the edge off, just knock it down a couple of percent. And if you're cruising, you shouldn't be cruising. If you're cruising, you can hit the up arrow, just make this session a little bit tougher for yourself. I think if you are finding this session a little bit easy, I suggest you should check your FTP is still accurate. So do an FTP test, 20 minutes, flat out on Zwift, and Zwift will then automatically acknowledge your change in FTP. And that is a common reason why people find sessions a little bit easy, especially sometimes a little bit hard. If you've had a little bit of time off training, or you've just come through your target event and you're working towards your next event, you may be in a build phase and your FTP may have dropped slightly. Well, that's the time to use the down arrow. We're all about being smart. As a Rowe and King, we say, don't train harder, or don't train smarter. Sorry, don't train more, train smarter, and don't train harder, train smarter. So it's not all about going out and doing more and harder, just smashing it. Be smart with your efforts. That's what today is trying to do. In 50 minutes, we're going to spend 30 minutes working our aerobic base, 30 minutes to spike threshold. That's a significant workload. There you go, we're halfway. Halfway. Time for a drink. Ooh. Just gonna check the questions on Zwift Community Live a sec. So how was that guys? First block. For those of you who are doing the session, either following in-game on Zwift or following on Facebook, let me know how it was. Now we are pretty much halfway now, so that's a pretty significant workload that we've just gone through. We are halfway, so one more block of that to go. Hello Goran, nice to have you following us. And Jesper, hello, hello. And Claire Snowden, thanks for following, thanks for the thumbs up. You've got quite a few followers here, so if anyone's got any questions or anything they want to throw at me, Thank you, Cunningham. I'm not sure what your first initial L is that, not sure what that is, but so I'm not sure whether to call you a Mr. or Mrs. So I hope you don't mind me calling you Cunningham. We're glad you like the spikes. And hopefully you're finding this fairly, you know, I'm not saying it's completely manageable, but it's, well, not completely easy. It's, but it should be manageable. I think that is the right word, manageable. You know, we should finish this next block and be, you know, a bit puffed out, but it's not the same as completing kind of, you know, sprints where we're hitting our absolute max peak power output. This is definitely more of a steadier session. Sir Cunningham, okay, Sir Cunningham it is. Good job, Claire. Well, the good news is, you know, we're in the recovery part now, so this is your chance to really recover. You know, take some fluids on. You know, it's really important to hydrate in these sessions, and we've only got 20 minutes left, so really any fluids that we're taking on now aren't going to benefit as a great deal for the rest of the session. So the takeaway there for us all is, you know, well, as soon as we jump on Zwift, we should already be well hydrated before we even start, and we should really be drinking throughout. So from the very first couple of minutes, little and often, just keep trickling that liquid into our system, because as I say now, especially as we head into the last 15-20 minutes, you know, all the liquid we take on board, it's all good, it's still worth doing, but it's not really going to benefit us too much in the immediate future. Well done, Chris. Well, that is the aim of the game. Toast those legs. Thanks for the feedback there. And you know, we're all in the same boat together, guys. So for anyone who's following and, you know, the legs are sore, then that is good. That's normal. It's to be expected. And you're not alone. You know, it's 41 of us doing this session together. We're all feeling those same painful sensations. The good news is, you know, we've got 22 minutes to go. And once we've finished, we're going to start the recovery process. We're going to come back stronger. And what that means is next time we do this session, or any other session, it won't get easier, but we'll simply produce more power and we'll go faster. And that's the aim of the game, guys. Not to make it easier, but just to go faster. And Chris Bayless, who's saying his heart rate's come down pretty quickly, that's a fantastic indicator that you are a fit person, fit bike rider. It's the ability to kind of send your heart rate really high when you start doing efforts, then also bring it down then when you recover. That ability to, all that kind of range in heart rate and the speed at which you kind of bring your heart rate back down is a great indicator of you being fit. So good job on that. Just over a minute now, guys, and then we're back into the last block. And all we've got there now, so 1 minute now, easy, last block, and then we're into a cool down. Sir Cunningham is asking how often would you do an FTP test? So I always think you only want to test when you're looking, you know, you really want to test where you're at, what kind of, i.e. re-benchmark yourself. There's no point in doing an FTP test unless you're going to really do something with that data or really take it on board. So I would say, you know, if you're training hard, seriously, and you're starting from a relatively untrained level, you know, to retest, do an FTP test every 6 weeks is fine. Maybe every 5-6 weeks, and any more than that, you know, it gets to be a bit mentally. If you're doing an FTP test properly, I'm talking about the 20-minute version. It's very demanding, both physically and mentally. So any more than that, you're gonna learn to love. Yeah, you're gonna learn to hate it. So yeah, I say every 5 to 6 weeks. But if you've been training for a while and you've reached, you know, you're fairly fit, and you're not going to see massive bumps in your. Okay, guys, first spike. You're not going to see massive bumps in your FTP each time you test. Then I would think about retesting more like every 8 to 10 weeks, a little bit less frequently. Because, you know, you've got to give yourself time to properly go through a cycle of, you know, overloading. So you know, that cumulative training load we get from training day on day. So overloading ourselves, causing a lot of stress on our bodies, then allowing ourselves to recover, get stronger, go through a couple of macro cycles. So, you know, typically riders go through kind of 4-week cycles, 3 kind of good solid training weeks, or 3.5 good solid training weeks, then 3 or 4 days kind of recovery. You've got to go through a few of them to really see a significant gain in your FTP, I would argue. Good job, Chris, that's what we want, nice and challenging. And thank you, Eric, for the thumbs up, the ride on. And of course now, guys, into this second block, of course we've got that first block in our legs. So I just mentioned a minute ago about the concept of cumulative training effect or cumulative training load. So this is the tiredness, kind of the muscle damage and the stress placed on our bodies obviously kind of increases exponentially as we do more efforts, because we're still producing the same power we were in the first block, but we've already got fatigue in our legs, so it's going to be harder. Or kind of the perception will be slightly harder. And a lot of this comes down to how much harder is about how fit you are. So a fitter athlete will find this second block slightly harder, whereas a less fit athlete is going to find this second block a lot harder. So I'd advise, you know, to stick with it, battle through, get the work done, and over time you're going to become fitter, and this will appear or feel slightly easier each time you do it. And remember, guys, keep the liquids down, keep drinking. See that red marker ahead? That's where we go again, guys. Another spike. Coming up to 3 minutes done, 12 minutes to go. Okay guys, spike. Here we go. Nice and controlled. There shouldn't be any big erratic movement. This is just a nice and controlled increase in watts. Just drag those pedals around, guys, nice and smooth. Nice one. And just settle then straight back into our threshold effort. And this will be feeling uncomfortable now. This is where the hard work really does get you reward. The back end of the session. It's almost like you've got to create that training stress in your body, damage those muscle fibers, so then we're completing or making efforts on tired legs already, and that's where you get the real big bang for our buck. You've got to go through that early process of creating that training stress to kind of get us in this state where we are training on tired legs. And a great way, I think, to utilize Zwift, if you really want to train hard, is go out for a road ride. Just mix in with your local friends, or your club, whatever it is. Don't worry too much about how hard you're riding. Just enjoy it. Have a coffee stop. Just really enjoy your bike. Come back, and then jump on Zwift. It's just a great unstructured way of training hard and just generally keeping fit. Now you wouldn't want to be doing that, you know, week in, week out, because, you know, those intense efforts will nudge your fitness up pretty quickly. But unless you're doing that in a sustainable way, and by that I mean, you know, doing on the back of, you know, a big aerobic base, where you've got that general fitness to build your kind of your top end and your intensity on. If you haven't built that base on which you build on, you're going to see a quick, short, sharp bump in your fitness, which will feel nice. but then that's going to fall off pretty quickly. Okay guys, 15 seconds, another spike. Nice one. Here we go. Okay, good job guys, back into our threshold now. Nine minutes left. Good job, good job. If anyone can hear my squeaky chain, apologies. Just doing my absolute head in. Okay guys, minute 40, and we do our next spike. So no doubt now guys, the legs are going to be pretty sore, breathing's going to be pretty laboured. Now as we approach the end of this session, this is where we really need to keep our composure and stay relaxed, keep everything smooth. This is where the magic happens. This is where the magic happens. In 12 minutes time guys, it'll all be over. So just stick with me for 12 more minutes. And then we would have completed 54 minutes of a real quality structured training session. This is going to give you a huge bang for your buck. 40 seconds guys, 40 seconds. Then we spike again. And just to help visualize these spikes, if you imagine yourself in a group, and you know every now and then you come to a little hill, or maybe come into a roundabout and you're accelerating out of the roundabout, just visualize these spikes as accelerating like a short sharp kick up a hill, or accelerating out of a roundabout to catch the group back up. Whatever it takes, just visualize yourself doing that. And obviously the group we're visualizing is the group on Zwift. Here we go. And that blue beacon there guys, that's where we back off slightly, back into our rhythm. It's this repeated cycle of, pardon the pun, this repeated cycle of under our threshold, over our threshold, producing lactic acid, getting rid of it. This is teaching our body to become really efficient. So the next time we're riding along and we do make a similar effort because of the terrain or whatever, and we do produce a little bit of lactic acid, our body will know what to do with it. Our body will be a lot better at dealing with that lactic. Just enter the tube here guys, in the middle of London, casually riding down the tube, heading towards Box Hill. One more minute and 40 seconds until we do our last spike, and then we're just going to see it through with some easy threshold riding. Good job, guys. We're almost there now. We're almost there. This is awesome. This is awesome. I don't know about you, whenever I get off Zwift, I just get that release of endorphins. I feel $1 million. And that's where this, you know, doing HIIT training, and this is a version of it, a mild version of it, you could argue. You know, it releases, you know, you get a good hormone response. We feel fantastic from it, and that'll sit with you for the rest of the day then. One of the magic wonders of exercise. You can feel the magic, Sir Cunningham, good man. Me too. I feel it in my veins and my fingers. Whew. Alright guys, 20 seconds, then we're into our last spike. And with it, our last 3 minutes of effort today. Here we go. That's good, guys. Just suck it up now, this effort. That's good. Just suck it up. Okie doke. 2 minutes 40 left. On the final countdown now. This is fantastic. Great work, everyone. Seriously, really good work. I think this can be quite a mentally tough session because we've got 2 50-minute blocks and they're pretty solid. We're kind of on it the whole time. There's no real let up. You've got to be pretty focused, disciplined. You've got to keep pumping that power out at all costs. So we've done 28 minutes worth now. 28 minutes worth of effort. 2 more minutes to go. Really is the final stretch. Literally the hard work is done now, guys. Just rounding it off. Just rounding the session off. So let me know what you thought today, guys. Bit hard, bit easy. What do you enjoy? Any requests for the next session? If you've got any special requests on the type of session you want, or do you want it to develop your sprint, time trialing, fat burning? What do you want this session to focus on, guys? I'm open to requests, so fire them over in the comments section of today's session on Facebook, and I'll try to accommodate where possible. A minute to go. There we go, 25 seconds left. Just sit here now, guys, like a well-oiled machine. Just soak this effort up now. Good job. Good job. Awesome, well done everyone. Well done indeed. Big pat on the back. Take a big drink. Good work. Whew. Well, 5 minutes of cool down left now. Cool down, warm down, whatever you want to call it. That's a great session we've all completed there, guys. That's going to result in a significant amount of stress on your body, and we work pretty hard, but in turn that's going to lead to our body working pretty hard to repair itself and get stronger, and ultimately lead to a lot of positive physical adaptations, which is fantastic. No worries, Sir Cunningham. Pleasure. So warm down now, guys. Again, nice light gear, and for me, I'm being asked to produce 100 watts. For you, whatever it is, now is not the time to go over that 100 watts. This is the cool down. Nice and easy. Just spin those legs, start recycling some of those toxins from your legs. Just to aid the recovery process. So yeah. It's only when you sit up, so I've got a big fan jetting on me here. It's only when you sit up out of that airstream you realise how hot I am on my own, but also how hot the room is without that fan. I mean, for anyone who's anyone who's Zwifting, that fan is an absolute lifesaver. So for me, fundamentals for Zwifting: big drink and a big fan. That's all you need. Just get on. Well, Mark says he was never ready for that. Well, Mark, good job, buddy. I think you got through it. I can't quite tell, but you're still with us, so well done. You know, 10 out of 10 for effort, everyone. Everyone who got through that. Chapeau, as they say. You know, it's good to see. And as always, guys, I'm here every Wednesday, 7:45 PM UK time. So at the moment, that's BST, British Summer Time. But obviously in the winter, that changes to GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. But yeah, 7:45 UK time, workout Wednesday. I'm here. Awesome. So guys, depending on what time of day it is, you know, well, it's going to impact on what you do next nutritionally. But you know, nutrition is absolutely fundamental for cyclists. Now we burn a lot of calories, and we need to repair our muscles, replace the glycogen that we've used in this session, especially an intense session like this, where we've gone hard. We will use glycogen as our energy source. So for me now, I'm getting off. It's 9:15 in the evening. I'm going to have a square meal. So a meal's a great option. If it's a bit later or you don't fancy a meal or you've already eaten, a recovery shake, protein and a bit of carbs is a great idea. Widely debated on the window in which you've got to replenish and kind of refuel to aid recovery, whether it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes or an hour. Never really bottomed that out, but on the next Zwift coaching podcast that I host along with Kev Poulton and Greg Henderson, two other great coaches, we've got a special guest on for our next podcast, which is released next Wednesday, a week today. And that podcast is going to it's going to be a nutrition special. So guys, if you haven't listened to our podcast already, tune in, listen to them, subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud and Podbean. But otherwise, I'll see you next week on Workout Wednesday. Thank you.